Will You Be My Neighbor is brought to us by documentarian Morgan Neville. It is a documentary showing the life of Fred Rogers, who of course is best known for the hit television program on PBS, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It talks about his childhood, how and why he wanted to create the show, and all the influence the show had and he had on millions of kids over generations, all the way to his death in 2003. Now, unlike many people that were born between 1960s to the early 2000s, I was of course born in the 90s, I watched Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, like a lot of kids did. And I liked it when I was a kid, but I don't think I'll admit, I didn't really get it, you know? To me, it was more slow. It was a lot different from all the other kids shows I watched, which were, of course, you know, because I was a preschooler, of course, watching like Thomas the Tank Engine and stuff. It's a lot more slow, a lot more, you know, just there was a lot of silence, and this documentary even talks about why that was. So I never really got it as like this really powerful show that, of course, looking back on it now totally see. But I totally still loved it. I still have fond memories of watching it as a kid. I used to watch PBS all the time because I didn't grow up with cable, and there wasn't a whole lot to do, so I ended up watching that when I was like in preschool. 6 years old, kindergarten age, used to watch PBS all the time. So I have a lot of fond memories of Mr. Rogers. And so coming into this documentary, I was really intrigued to learn more about Fred Rogers the man. And hearing early reviews, I got really excited to see this, and I gotta say, those reviews are correct. This documentary is incredible. I'll get a bit of criticism out of the way first, because I didn't really find it that problematic, but it should be noted that this is a pretty standard documentary. You know, it's a lot of interviews, answering questions, showing footage, more interviews, answering questions, showing footage. And just a standard, you know, from birth to death, showing his life in the progression of his show and all the things that he did. Sure, so nothing really artistic-wise stands out, except for the editing, because this is a very well-edited documentary. It's edited together, so it flows very nicely. All the bits of information build on each other very well, so that's put together very nicely, and I give compliments to the editor for that. But as far as other technicals, nothing really stands out huge. Those problems aside, though, this documentary has such a great subject matter, being, of course, Fred Rogers, that I don't care. Fred Rogers was a wonderful, amazing, just fascinating human being. Fred Rogers was a Presbyterian minister who really, truly cared about children. I mean, he loved children and really wanted to help their growth and really wanted to use the medium of television, which was, at the time of his show starting, still a relatively new medium. He wanted to do the show because basically a lot of stuff he saw on TV was stuff like Bozo the Clown, just silly shows for kids, and while those shows were probably perfectly fine and cute and innocent and kind of fun for little kids, they weren't really helping the kids learn anything. They were just kind of just flashing colors and jumping around characters, and that was it. There was nothing really to it. There was no meat that was helping the kids learn and grow and feel emotions and learn to love others, which is exactly what Fred Rogers wanted to teach kids. And dang, did he succeed. There's so many iconic moments from the show and just from his life. It's one of the interesting things the documentary touches on is the Fred Rogers you saw on the show, like the nice, happy guy who's loving everyone and saying, "Don't you want to be my neighbor?" That wasn't a fake. That wasn't a put-on. That's him. That's just who he was. You always imagine, like, I believe it was Family Guy that made this parody, but a lot of people have, where it's like, you know, or The Simpsons. You always think about Krusty the Clown, you know? He's nice and happy and jumping around and fun for the kids, and then, you know, it cuts to him in the back smoking a cig and like, I don't want to be here. And you imagine that, you know, someone who entertains kids like this for preschool is like, you must get tired of it, but he loved it. He adored that he was helping kids learn and show love to each other and breaking down barriers. When the JFK assassination happened, he did a whole episode on assassination. Like, explain assassination to little preschoolers. He also did episodes going against racism in the civil rights movement era. Like, not like it was done in the 90s, although he did them in the 90s as well. But those were all over in the 90s, thank God, because the world became a better, less crappy place. But in the 60s, when it would have been super controversial, there were reports at the time in the 60s of people pouring chemicals in the pool where black people were swimming that were also considered white people pools, that they didn't want the whites and the black people to be swimming together. And Mr. Rogers brought on a man who wasn't only a black man, but he played a cop on the show, and he had a little wade pool, like a little kiddie pool, and they both stuck their feet in it, and he just let it play on like it was the most natural thing. And it's such a beautiful episode, honestly. I kind of got teary-eyed at this moment because it's such a powerful, subtle, perfect moment. And considering when it happened, that dude has balls. Like, Fred Rogers, he was the man. He really taught love and respect for all people. You know, no matter what, no matter your politics, your ethnicity, your gender, didn't matter. Didn't matter to him. He wanted everyone to treat everyone with basic human dignity. And for kids to be able to grow up in a better society than the one he grew up in. And in some ways, I think he succeeded. And it's interesting because the documentary near the end takes a turn where it, you know, after 9/11, Fred Rogers quit his show. And part of that was because of his age. He was up there in years at that time. It would actually only be 2 more years till he died. But part of that, it seems from letters that were found later, he was depressed, like, in a sense of thinking he failed. Like, people are, like, the world is so bad that his show didn't really do what he was had set out, what he was hoping his show would do. And I was thinking about this after, and it's kind of interesting because to an extent I think he's right in the broad sense. Because look, people are crap. There are awful, disgusting people, and no matter how much you tell them to be better, they won't. They don't care. They won't listen, or they're too destroyed internally where they can't be better. I don't know. I'm not going to get into all that, but he's not completely wrong. However, I think on a smaller scale, on the way it influenced millions of people, yeah, he did succeed. But it's kind of an interesting way to look at it. Because, yeah, in some ways, the world has gotten worse. In some ways it's gotten better, though. It almost feels like a trade-off at times. It all depends. I mean, I'm a kind of a cynical guy, and even I was like, God, I hope that's not true. I really hope that's not true, that you fail. Because this guy, he was such a wonderful guy. They even talk about him as being like a second Jesus. And it's kind of true. The way he acted, it was very Christ-like. Like, he exuded. I'm going to get a bit into this real quick. I'll make it quick. He exuded the way Jesus taught Christians and just people in general to be. And you know, just love and compassion for all, no matter what BS is going on in their life, love and compassion for all. He exuded that perfectly. And my God, he was just a saint, honestly. And I know he was Presbyterian, but Catholics, can we just name him a saint already? I feel like he's earned it. Come on. Put him up there. Saint Fred Rogers. Come on. Patron Saint Fred. I'm going to start that campaign. Now, the documentary also does touch on some of the criticisms of Fred Rogers as well, which was that basically some people thought that he made a whole generation of kids entitled. My generation, the millennials specifically, even the Gen Xers, just entitled little brats that never believed the world just owed them everything because they were special, because he kept telling kids they were special while they made them all entitled. No, I'm sorry, Fred Rogers didn't make them entitled. Freaking participation trophies, if anything, made kids entitled. I hated those things when I was a kid, man. That's a topic for another time, but man, that was some BS. But no, the message of Fred Rogers wasn't, you're special, so you're perfect, and everyone should just bow down to you and give you everything you want because you're already perfect. Like, no, not at all. He still would say, you have to work for it. You have to earn it. But you deserve the basic human respects that every human deserves. That is in the Constitution. That is in the Bible. That all humans deserve a basic set of love and respect. Yeah, you still have to earn where you go in life. You can't just be spoon-fed it. People who want that, yeah, sorry, nice try. But there is, like, legit love and respect that every person deserves. And that's what Fred Rogers taught. That was the message of his show. And, God, it makes me respect it so much more. It's easy to kind of forget that when it's like a kid show. It's easy to remember some kid shows that's like, oh, they're all, you know, it was fun. There was puppets. It was cute or whatever. But really, when you look back, he was trying to say something. He was trying to talk to kids in an intelligent way and really respect the kids. And Dude, I gotta give the guy mad props for that. This is a beautiful, touching documentary. I teared up several times in this documentary. I'm man enough to admit it. And I love this documentary. I want to go see it again. It was amazing. It was incredible. I'm going to give Won't You Be My Neighbor 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is a great documentary, guys. If you haven't seen it, go check it out immediately. I implore you to check it out. You will not be disappointed. So that's my review. More to come, and hope you enjoy. Like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.